My song choices actually changed in auditioning for American Idol. I started off with songs like God Bless the Broken Road, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith, and then Get Here by Oleta Adams. They were all in my first audition. And then when I got to my actual audition with the judges, somebody told me that they would like for me to sing Motown. If you're familiar with old Motown music, you're one step ahead of me because I wasn't. and so I only knew a few songs, and two of those songs were My Girl by the Temptations, and that's what I started with. And then they asked me if I could sing another one, and I knew a song by Marvin Gaye called Let's Get It On. Yeah. And so I sang that one. Those were the only ones I knew, so so I was like, what do you do? Do my fans get in the way? No, never. Never. Fans become as close to you as friends. A lot of the people, you'll run into them over and over again on the road. I've got several people that if I'm anywhere within an 8-hour radius of driving from where they are, they'll drive out to see me perform. And so I'll see them, and they will... they'll always greet me. They'll always want to take pictures and get autographs signed. If you ever want to make it in this business, then you have to have that relationship with the people who love your music to where you love them back. The reason I'm in this business is because of the people who listen to my music. So, what was my favorite part about being on American Idol? If I'm going to be absolutely honest, it was getting to meet some of the people that I got to meet. I've gone through some of them before, but Gwen Stefani, Jennifer Lopez, Martina McBride, not to mention the people that I've met since then who, were such big stars in my eyes when I was a kid. Amy Grant, Michael W. Smith, Point of Grace. I listened to a bunch of Christian music. In fact, I wasn't even allowed to listen to music that wasn't Christian music. So I remember I was standing at an awards show, and walking past me was a girl named Allison Krauss and a guy named Robert Plant. And a lot of you guys have no idea who they were, but I literally physically shuddered when they walked by. Robert Plant was the lead singer of a group called Led Zeppelin. You ever heard of them? And then Allison Krauss has one of the most angelic, celestial voices you will ever hear in your entire life. And my wife was just laughing at me because, I seldom get starstruck or whatever, but in that moment, I got starstruck. That's my favorite thing about being on American Idol. What was my favorite song that I sang when I was a contestant? I didn't know many of them, to be honest with you. I think looking back, I would say the song Every Breath You Take by the Police was my favorite song I got to sing on American Idol. Especially since afterwards, I thought the judges were just going to ream me because Sting sang that song, which, he was the lead singer of the Police, and he's got such an interesting, amazing tenor voice, and I was just sure the judges were just going to just rip me, apart, but they ended up complimenting me, so, obviously that would end up being my favorite when they complimented me. Do I still keep in touch with my friends? Absolutely. In fact, I was emailing back and forth yesterday with Blake Lewis. I've talked to Jordan Sparks recently. I still do a lot of shows with Melinda Doolittle. In fact, you actually have you begin to create relationships with people from other seasons as well. I was just with Bo Bice, some of the contestants from this season. I think because of the uniqueness of what you're doing, it creates a bond between you and the other people that have been a part of it. Do I ever get frustrated with my job? Yes, absolutely. I think a lot of times you think about your dreams and the dreams that you aspire to, and you have a certain idea of how it's going to play out, and it never plays out that way. The bigger you get as a star, the more you're on the road and traveling. As you can see, I've got a wife and 2 children. I like to be home. I like to be with them. So the frustrating part for me is balancing that because I also love being on the road. One way we cope with it is the fact that, as you can see right now, they're on the road with me. They've been with me for the entire summer. At least my wife has. For a couple weeks, my kids went with their grandparents, but for the most part, they've traveled with me. But that does get frustrating after a while, especially, when you sing an hour and a half to 2 hours, just full out every single day. It starts to take a toll on your voice, and you start, you have to learn to cope with vocal fatigue on the road and stuff like that. I don't want to damage my voice, so I have to use it very precisely. I have to study my voice. And instead of just going out and just screaming and having fun like I would love to do, I have to watch it. I have to be careful about every single vocal movement that I make throughout the course of the night, and that can get frustrating. But at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, this is what I love. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. It's what I was going to end up doing one way or the other. What made me want to do American Idol? It's actually kind of a funny story. I was in the Navy. And as with all military people, I was about to miss an important event in my friend's life. He was getting married, and he asked me to be at his wedding, and I couldn't do it because I was going to be with the Navy. Well, he told me the only way he'd ever forgive me for missing his wedding is if I auditioned for American Idol. So that's why I auditioned. My favorite singer when I was a child was Mariah Carey. I used to go around. I was a little kid, so I could still sing those notes that she could sing, but I would go around with my little cassette Walkman. You guys don't even know what those are. But I would just sit there and sing her songs, and I would try to learn them note for note. That's how I learned to sing, really. My favorite guest star on American Idol, that's tough. There were so many good ones, but if I had to choose one, I'd probably say Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett is an amazing artist. He's been doing this, since the...
forever.
For decades.
Really. Yeah,
and
back in the 30s.
Yeah, and he was, every word that he spoke, I hung on. You know, everything that he said, I loved. I cherished every word he said to me. And then, after I sang the song that I sang that week, the judges were kind of mean to me. They were just kind of like, oh, it was a little dull, a little boring, or whatever. But he was impressed with it. So he was sick the next day, but he sent his son to come tell me that I did a good job. And then when he showed back up for the finale later on, he told me personally that he was proud of me in the way that I'd performed that song. And so that was going the extra mile to me. That was way more than I could have ever expected. So I really loved Tony Bennett. What kind of relationships did I have with the judges? It started off where it was just kind of the separation thing. You know, I see them on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then I do my thing or whatever. But as you start making it progressively further and further, you start going to different parties, different engagements. You start seeing them backstage. I developed a great relationship with Paula Abdul. She's such a sweetheart. Love her. I still actually talk to her every now and then via Twitter and different social networking sites and stuff. Simon Cowell, he is exactly the way he seems on television. I like that. I think what that is genuity. And it's better when you're phony. People can see through that. You know what I'm saying? You can see through it when somebody's a fake. And with him, I think his authenticism is what draws us to him. Randy Jackson saw several times off set, and loved him too. He was a real cool guy. I think the deepest conversations I had off set were with Simon, because I wanted to know why he was so mean. You know, but so I got to know all these people real well. It was, you know, I still cherish their friendship.
All right, we need to bring this to a close. Great questions from all of you, by the way, and great answers from Phil Stacey. Let's thank him.
Thank you.
You know? Yeah. And